I don't know if you can hear me or if you're even there. I don't know why sometimes I turn into Dracula, but there you go. It's here. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, everyone's doing well out there. Today, we are going to be doing an episode about this year's. Oh, you know what? I just remembered something. Hold up, people. Hold up. I just forgot one thing. We forgot this. I had a booklet that I grabbed for the show tonight, and I put it in the other room. Okay, there we go. So now we are all set for the Wednesday show. Hello, Shelly. How you doing? Yeah. So today we're going to hola. Today we're going to be going through and doing an episode all about this year's Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. And this thing is taking forever to load onto the book with the face. Facebook. That would be. So yeah, today we're gonna go through. We're gonna talk about this year's Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. We got some pictures. Well, not some pictures. We got a picture of literally every single topiary that is out there. So we will be going through every single topiary tonight, as well, doing some back history of some of them and a lot of the other stuff. Did you try the peanut butter and jelly self-serve? Yes, I did. I had it last year too, and I really enjoyed it last year. So this year I said, you know what? I got to do it again. And I actually literally did it today, and I took a picture, and that's one of the pictures you guys have seen today. So, haha. Okay. But how's everyone doing? Is everyone doing good out there? Hopefully everyone's doing well before we start the show here. Okay. We got people who are slowly creeping on here. Hey, Christine, how you doing? All right, so let's get this party started. We're going to start at the 813th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 813th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is March 19th, 2025. If you're out there right now and you're watching and your name is Tyler, you're my little brother, happy birthday. And also, if you're in the chat room, you can say happy birthday to him. But before we get to that, or tonight we're going to be talking about this year's Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. But before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you for everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be coming to you from, but I promise you we will be coming to you always from Disney. So make sure you join us every single Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And yeah, as we go through here tonight, if we go into more subscriber mode, we will continue to go up or extend our party here tonight. So we are starting right now at 8,416 subscribers. So as we go here, if we get more than that as the evening goes on, we will go into extra innings and maybe not just talk about the festival, but also maybe talk about other things as well. So keep on sending your friends, send your enemies, send your loved ones, send your neighbors, send your teachers, send your grandchildren, send your parents, and whoever you want to over to subscribe as well. We are getting closer and closer to that 10,000 subscriber. And of course, if you did not already hear, we do have a brand new book. A closer look at the Animal Kingdom's Dino Land USA is now available. It currently is a 5-star review on both Amazon and Etsy. So if you want to, order a copy, learn a little bit or a lot of bit about Dino Land USA, make sure you go through and purchase that. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our wonderful, our super duper, our always amazing Patreon pals. I don't know what that one is, but thank you, our Patreon pals. If you are one of our Patreon pals and you are in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. Okay. So we have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's not even try to extend it even more because I talk a lot. We all know that. So let's talk about this year's Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023. It is the 30th anniversary of the festival. which means that we have to do history lessons. We have to talk about the topiaries, and what better way for us to start this than a little bit of a backstory. So if you went to Walt Disney World back in 1971, no, let's go even further back in history. If you went to Disneyland around the year 1955, maybe not exactly 1955, but right around 1955, shortly after Disneyland first opened up, there was a lot of different things about the world that we just weren't really sure about, mainly because the idea of an amusement park or a theme park was not a very popular thing at that point. And Walt Disney wanted to have it so the idea of gardens and trees and all these different things would come together into the theme park atmosphere, because he didn't want everything to just focus on the rides. He didn't want to have it so focused on the shops or the restaurants. He wanted to have it so everything blended together. And with that, it would also include all the beautiful scenery. So he hired a man named Bill Evans. Bill Evans was a horticulture genius. He was a local gardener. Actually, he was Walt's gardener. And he also had it so he worked on different plants and different things all throughout Central and Southern California. Walt Disney said, well, I've got this idea for a theme park called Disneyland, and I want to have it so you bring the most beautiful, the most exotic, the most amazing plants to this park. And he said, okay, I'll do that. But he had to get creative because, yes, it was a great task. But at the same time, you have to remember, Disneyland opened up on July 17th, 1955, and construction for it did not start until July 18th, 1954. So not even a full year before Disneyland opened up, Disneyland did not exist at all. They knew where it was going to be, but there was no construction going on. It started literally one day, 364 days before the actual park would open up. So Bill Evans had this massive task that was in front of him. And this massive task was, how on earth can we have a bunch of different plants and trees and everything else, greenery and shrubbery, come over to Disneyland and have it so it truly transports guests to different spots? So one of the things that was going on at that point was Southern California had this amazing thing called an expressway. Ooh. This expressway thing was coming around, and because the expressway thing was coming around, the government was kind of, getting rid of a lot of trees, and he said, hey, I'll purchase all these trees for you, or I will physically transplant them from here to a place that I want to bring to. So that's how a lot of these different trees started to come into Disneyland. While all these things were being done and bringing over there, they had a few other tasks they wanted to have. Like Tomorrowland really wasn't complete when the park first opened up. We had Autopia. That's about it. There was not a whole lot going on over in Tomorrowland. So they said, hey, Bill, how about you bring in a bunch of plants that people can eat? So opening day, Disneyland, every plant you could find there was something that you could eat. It was the way of the future. And then, of course, they said, we need to have more attractions than the attractions that we have here. Bill, what we need to do is we need to have it so there's little plaques around all the different plants around the park so people know what kind of plants these are. So he started to just make up names for some of the plants, making them sound more exotic and more amazing and everything else like that. As time would go on, eventually, right around the same time after Disneyland opened up, they said, you know what, Bill, we have a brand new task for you. We want to have it so you will come in and give us these things that might transport people even further into the world of fantasy. And he said, haha, I know this thing that's been going around over in France for quite some time called topiaries. Now, what we can do is we can create a topiary at the park and have it so that topiary will reflect the area that's going around inside that specific location, mainly in Fantasyland. So what they started to do is they started to bring in more and more little topiaries where it would kind of mold the different shape of exactly what these plants would look like to make it look like things like Dumbo the Flying Elephant or a shrub. That's right, a shrub, and different things like that. So all of these different topiaries began to start to form around mainly Fantasyland. They had other parts of the park as well, but mainly Fantasyland would be focused on these brand new things called the topiary. Not new things for France people, but for America, it was a fairly relatively new thing. So fast forward to 1971. In 1971, the Magic Kingdom opens up here in Orlando, Florida. Now, when this opens up, they decide that what they're going to do is they're going to continue this tradition of having different topiaries found inside the park. So what they do is, first off, over by Demo the Flying Elephant, they throw a few different elephant topiaries around. Pretty cool idea. In addition to that, they decided to throw a Mickey Mouse topiary in front of the Contemporary. Also, pretty cool idea. And then over the Ticket and Transportation Center, they would have a line of elephants holding each other's tails. They were actually in the form of topiaries as well on top of a hill. Again, really cool idea. So all of a sudden, the idea of the topiary was being found here in the Magic Kingdom as well, starting off in 1971. Now, topiaries at that point, still very basic, not very exciting. However, you could tell what it was based on the shape of what the thing was. Fast forward about 11 years. 11 years later, we have Epcot. Yes, Epcot is born. And with Epcot, we have a few more little plant structures that are added to the park, but not as much as you would originally anticipate. So in 1982, when Epcot first opens up, the main form of topiaries that could be found would be over at the UK Pavilion, where they would have a hedge maze for guests to walk through. And it would be, these different manicured spots where it would have a little maze going through. The maze is still there today. But besides that, there was not a lot of other topiaries or different plant life that was truly helping tell the story. Now, let's fast forward again 13 years into the future. 13 years into the future, something crazy is happening because 6 years before that, Disney MGM Studios opens up. Now, Disney's Hollywood Studios opens up. And when Disney MGM Studios opens up, it's a great thing for the Disney company. However, around the same time, we also have a place down the road that we don't talk about, but it's called Universal Studios. That opens up too. So Magic Kingdom is still the most visited park in the world at this point in 1995. However, Epcot, which was number 2 in the world, beating out Disneyland and several other parks all around the world, it started to get closer and closer to number 3, which was owned by Disneyland at that point, and shortly followed by Disney MGM Studios, and then shortly after that, Universal Studios. So when they started to realize that Epcot's numbers were slowly shrinking down to 3rd place, Disney said, we need to figure out something that we can do to bring more people in. And they came up with a very clever idea. And this clever idea has completely changed the course of Epcot's lineage. And that idea was, why don't we create a festival to attract people into the park? And with this festival, people will be able to wander all around and have it so they can truly enjoy Epcot in a brand new way. So 30 years ago, they invented the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. Now, with this Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, they brought in tons of different horticulture experts and said, this is what we want to do. We want plants. We want flowers. We want smelly things that smell really good. And they said, we can do this. So what did they do? They went through and they said, okay, what is something that people have always been shocked by and always in awe of when they visit our parks? And they said, you know what? Way back in the day, there was these things called topiaries that we found over the Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, and all around the world. And all these different things truly blew people's minds away. And they said, why don't we have it so that can be kind of one of the starring attractions of the entire festival? And they said, that's a genius idea. So what they did was they started bringing in these brand new topiaries. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, Donald, Daisy, Pluto. That was about it. There was not a whole lot there besides a few different things that they wanted to have a round world showcase. Maybe some pandas over in China, or maybe a troll in Germany, or, maybe like an elephant, because obviously those go in the UK too. They had all these different things kind of in place, and they were trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do. Now, as time would go on, the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, along with the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival, began to start to build up more and more momentum, making that Epcot that was slowly falling to 3rd place start to rise back up to 2nd place into a more prominent position. More and more people were going there and not going to the other parks as much as they were in the early 90s. So all of a sudden, Epcot started to pull away, and with it, we got a brand new thing that has stood the test of time, or at least 30 years of it, with the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival, the Flower and Garden Festival. Yeah! Okay, so that is our very quick, very abridged history lesson on the festival. Now, the festival did start 2 weeks ago today. And with it, I wanted to do an episode about it 2 weeks ago. However, I did not have the time to go through and take pictures of every single topiary 2 weeks ago. So I said, oh, you know what? We'll do it the next week. And I still did not have enough time to go through and take pictures of every single topiary. And so today I went over to Epcot and I spent about 3.5 hours there taking pictures of every single topiary and going to the butterfly garden and doing everything that is festival related. So I could talk to you fine people tonight about this year's Epcot Flower and Garden Festival. Now, while we go through here, if you guys have any questions, make sure you throw those questions to me in the chat room, because we are going to be going through and talking about anything and everything dealing with this festival. Now, the main thing I want to go through and have it so we kind of explore is going through this idea of a walkthrough of every single thing in this festival, including these guys right here, the topiaries themselves. So what we're going to go through is we're going to do a walkthrough of the festival while highlighting every single one of the topiaries that can be found around the festival. Now, if you guys have any questions as we go through here and talk about these things, feel free to yell at me in the chat room. I can see the chat room. You can't see me, but I can see the chat room. I can see you. Okay, so starting this off is going to be the very front of the very front of the park. And in the very front of the park, what they usually do is they usually have it so there is some sort of topiary that is focused on something that's brand new to the Disney company. I know what you're thinking. Well, Moana's been around for quite some time now. That is true. However, Moana 2 is a brand new film. So the opening topiary here, last year it was the movie Wish. This year it is Moana 2. Now, here with Moana 2, we do have obviously Moana there in the center. We got Hey Hey right there. Hey looks just as intelligent in topiary form as he does in the animated form. We've got Pua there. I think Pua is pretty cute there. And then, of course, we also have Maui here as well, along with his tattoos. It is kind of tough to see, but you can absolutely see that these tattoos are made up of having it so the plant life is kind of etched around where his tattoos would be in the film. Including in the middle here, we do have Mini Maui, which I think is just a really cool little add-on touch. So overall, really cool addition this year. They have had so many different characters here throughout the years. We will be going through quite a few of them tonight because we're going to be going through all the pictures tonight. But as we go through these pictures, I'll point out which ones have been at which locations throughout the years. Starting here with Figment. Figment was in the front of the park at one point. Figment is currently found in the central area, the brand new area of Epcot. Now, the Figment topiary has been literally everywhere. It was at the very front of the park at one point. It was right back here where the Walt statue is. There used to be a planter that was there before they went through this entire refurb. There used to be this topiary of Figment found over there at one point as well. In addition to the topiary being there, it's also been found over by the Imagination Pavilion. It's also been found at another spot over by the Imagination Pavilion. It's also been found over at a spot kind of near, like when you walk into the section by like the Land Pavilion, there was like a topiary on the left and the right hand side. At one point, we did have Figment over there as well. Figment has been here for the last 2 years. I think he's a great spot over here. As the Frank fam says in the chat room right now, Figment looks amazing at night, 100%. As they've gone through these years, they have started to add more and more touches for these characters, especially at night, to have it so it kind of, it'll be more enhanced at night. So there are a few of them that we're going to be talking about tonight, especially towards the middle, I think. Middle, don't quote me on that. Okay, our next ones here are going to be Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, much like Figment, have been around in lots of different locations throughout the years. The last year they were found over by Test Track. This year they are found right over here by the Connections Eatery. This little door right here goes towards the side that is facing towards Mission Space. If you look over here, this is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. But here we do have Huey in the front, Dewey on the left, and then Louie in the back. These three were also found in the central area going from Future World to World Showcase a few years ago. They were joined by Donald and Daisy. And then prior to the Disney 100 celebration, when they added in the 100, or not the 100-year celebration, the Fab 50 statues, before they entered that in, Over by the entrance to World Showcase, at one point you could find Donald, Daisy, along with Huey, Dewey, and Louie there as well. So these guys have kind of been everywhere around Epcot. They're one of the few characters that have been like literally everywhere. Our next character up is Donald Duck. Much like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald has been with them at most of the locations throughout the time. On the left-hand side here, behind the sunflower, that's going to be the same exact entrance to the Connections Eatery. Over here, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. You can even see the people right here, right above the hand. That was the line. The line was like going back and forth like crazy today, and I just wanted to go on the ride, but it was way too long of a wait every single time I went by there. Next up, right across from Donald. So Donald's actually looking at this year. Prior to this, Groot debuted last year at the festival. He was found over by Guardians of the Galaxy. Now he is found, if you look to the right here, this building right here is the bathroom. This corner over here is going to be Club Cool, though, just kind of give you an idea of where he's at. And this right here is a mixtape, much like in the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Groot does have a mixtape, and this mixtape does play different music, mainly from all three of the films. So if you stop by here every 10 to 15 minutes, I've heard different things, but I have seen it only on the 10-minute marks. But at the same time, I've been there at like the hour and the half hour. So it could be 15 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. But every 10 to 15 minutes, Groot will play the music from the different things. I did post a YouTube video just a few days ago, maybe it's been a week now, featuring Groot going through and playing those things. Great topiary, though. It starts all the way down here. This is his foot, and it goes all the way up. I just love it. I think that's one of the coolest ones. Continuing on over towards the worst attraction in Walt Disney World, we've got Mission Space here. So this is going to be Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Buzz Lightyear has been found in several different locations, much like Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Donald throughout the years of the festival. At one point, you could find him at the front of the park. That was around the time when Toy Story 4 debuted. Prior to that, around the time when Toy Story 3 debuted, you could find him over by the American Adventure, and then eventually he would make his way over by the Imagination Pavilion for 1 year. And when he was in those different locations, this spot was actually housed the home of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And I was kind of thinking that Stitch could come back this year, mainly due to the fact that there's the Lilo and Stitch live action movie coming out later on this year. And I was thinking, you know what? We might not see Buzz Lightyear here. We might see him someplace else this year. But I'm glad that we have Stitch here instead, or I'm sorry, Buzz Lightyear here instead of Stitch, because the Stitch topiary, it's good, but this one's just better in my opinion. I think both of them are great topiaries, but I just really like the details of this one. I like how they added in the different, the little buttons and the different details here. And I also like how you got his name tag and the Space Ranger thing as well. Lots of really, really, really cool little details on this one. Now, turning around, going through past Connections and past Creations and past Figment, the topiary that we talked about, and then heading our way towards the other side of the park. This is going to be over by the Land Pavilion, the Seas Pavilion, and the Imagination Pavilion, World Nature, if you will. And if you look behind here, we do have that as the Imagination Pavilion on the right-hand side here. But this is going to be Asha from the movie Wish, along with Star and the goat whose name is escaping me right now. Starts with a D. Someone help me out in the chat room. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Diago? No. Diab? No. Wait, what is his name? I can't think of what his name is. Someone in the chat room is going to help me. I have faith in it. But he's cute. Nameless sheep. What is this name? Oh my gosh, that's going to drive me crazy. Oh, Valentino. Thank you. It is Valentino. I was way off. Valentino, thank you. I was like, I love him too. I think he's one of the best characters in the movie. I just drawing a huge blank on him earlier. I even heard a guest today who was calling him something, and I was like, that's Valentino. But now, 4 hours later, I can't think of what it is. Some of the really cool things here is if you take a look at the thread that is coming out of Star, it does go back here into the trees as well. That does light up at night, much like the thread in the film does when she is chasing after Star. inside of Communicore Hall, we do have a new addition in topiary form. This is going to be Spike the Bee. First off, Communicore Hall has gone all out this year. I really enjoy the theme in here. While I was in here, we had several different songs playing in the background, and they're all instrumental things, but they all deal with things that would deal with nature and rainbows and butterflies and flowers and Spike the Bee. So there's a huge area right back here, which I should have taken a picture of by then. You can kind of see the one fake flower back here, but it kind of looks like the flower section of the movie Alice in Wonderland. And then we have Spike the Bee here, but you can also hear music from the flowers in the flowers section of Alice in Wonderland. We also had Rainbow Connection playing there earlier today. There's a lot of different songs that deal with nature that can be found here. But I think Spike the Bee is a really cool topiary. I really like Spike the Bee. He is a very obscure character, but I absolutely love him. So check him out next time. The most common topiary that you can find anywhere at the festival every single year are these butterflies. There are roughly, and I know that I'm missing probably a few. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 butterfly topiaries that I can think of off the top of my head. There are 2 that are found here right outside the butterfly house. There's also another one that is found over between the Land Pavilion and the Seas Pavilion. There's another one that's kind of found around the corner by Imagination Pavilion. There's also a few found over the Sniff area. There's a Scentsy area where you can go through and you can smell different smells. And they've got some there. They've got some over there by the International Gateway. So if you go anywhere in the festival, there's a pretty high chance that you will see these butterfly topiaries. Love the butterflies with the Scentsy smells. I think that is one of my favorite little details. So let's talk a little about that just for a second here. So in between the bridge that goes from Future World to World Showcase, there is, like, on the right-hand side going towards World Showcase, on the right-hand side, there is going to be a little butterfly area with Scentsy smells. There's these different things. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and you can put your nose right next to it. Try to find, this is a tip for you because some people don't smell it. Try to find where the airflow is going, because that's going to be where the smell's going. So if you also feel some wind right here on your cheek, move your nose so you can get it up here. But it will have different things where you can smell the different smells of different things like lilacs, and that's the only smell I can think of. Roses. There's going to be different smells. Each one of them is a different smell. And it's just a really cool little experience. On the other side of the walkway, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, I've been told, I've not actually witnessed it myself, and Saturdays and Sundays, this one I actually do know, is something that I saw someone asked a question about earlier, which is, how many Uncrustables have you had so far? I'm up to 4. So over here at this area, parts of the festival are sponsored by Smuckers, as in Smuckers Uncrustables, as in Smuckers Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which are amazing. And over here during apparently Wednesdays and Thursdays, I've not seen this. I did not see it today, but I did get to the park a little bit later today. And then Saturdays and Sundays, starting around 11 o'clock to about 1, 2-ish, they will have it so they will hand out free Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And this year, they're giving you 3 options. They have either the grape, which is what I always get, strawberry, or raspberry. Raspberry is a new flavor. So you can go over there, you can get a free one. What I've done twice is I've gone up, got one, did a loop around World Showcase, and then on the way out, I've got another one. So it's a really cool thing if you don't want to spend any money, or if you want to buy an Uncrustable at like a quick service. This is a much cheaper way to save money because they're free. They're literally part of the festival. I was so excited about the raspberry option this year. I am not a big fan of raspberry, so I did not get that one. I'm not a fan of strawberries either, so I didn't get that. But I do like the peanut butter and jelly grape, so I did get that, and I am not sad about it whatsoever. It's a great option. Okay, let's continue on our tour here. All right, so we got the butterflies, like I said. All right, around the corner, over by the Imagination Pavilion, we've got another set of topiaries. that have been around for quite some time, kind of, but not quite. If that makes sense. Starting off on the left-hand side, we do have Sheriff Woody. Sheriff Woody, of course, originally from the Toy Story film. Same with Bo Peep and Billy Goat and Gruff, the sheep there. But Woody debuted years ago at the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival at the front of the park. Then he made his way to the middle of the park. Then he made his way to the back of the park over by the American Adventure Pavilion. Then he made his way over in this little corner here for a while. And then he made his way towards the back of the park. Then he made his way back over here. And then the last few years, he's been hanging out over here with Bo Peep. Now, Bo Peep did not make her first debut, along with Billy Goat and Gruff, until the 2018. I'm drawing a blank. I should have started saying the year. Until Toy Story 4 came out. When Toy Story 4 came out, these characters made their debut along with Woody. So we have had Woody around for quite some time here. What is this one? My favorite combo of Uncrustables is the peanut butter and honey. I'm with you, Shelly. Okay. I don't think I've had that one. I think that's a weird combo, but maybe I'll try it at some point. All right, right around the corner from them is another topiary that's made its way all around the festival. These ones actually started off over in the African Outpost area, the area that's between the China Pavilion and the Germany Pavilion. And as the years have gone on, they've slowly made this spot home. This is, again, over on the left-hand side, we've got the Imagination Pavilion. If you look right here, you can see the Land Pavilion, the top of the Land Pavilion there. And over here, another restroom. So if you have to go to the bathroom, just look for topiaries, apparently. This is going to be Mufasa, Sarabi, Rafiki, and Simba. And one of my favorite pictures that I've taken almost every single year at the festival is I will step back this way, even further from where I am right now, and I will line Simba up with the monorail in the background and get a really cool picture here. Today, they had a line with a PhotoPass person to get pictures with these four, and the line was ridiculously long, but I didn't want a picture with them, so I just stepped to the side and took a picture instead. Tonight's episode is all about Uncrustables. Tonight, we should just eat Uncrustables, honestly, during the show tonight. You have a photo with these outside of DAC in 2011. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that these were in Animal Kingdom at one point. We're going to talk about a few other ones later on that have been at other parks as well. All right, continuing on to our new area. Ooh, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. This is Inside Out 2. Now, Inside Out 2 obviously was a mega hit film that came out last year. This is one of the funniest things in my opinion. But if you look, we have all these different colors, including back over here. If you watch my video a few weeks ago during the first day of the festival, I did a video all about the topiaries at the front of the park. And then I did a video all about the topiaries at the back of the park. But when I did the ones at the front of the park, I talked about this brand new Inside Out area. And I talked about how all these things are like sad plants and jealous plants, or not joyful plants. But we also have ones back here too for the new emotions too, which I didn't see at all for the first day. So I do apologize if you were there that first day and saw it. Okay, continuing down over here is going to be, again, Imagination Pavilion. This is the Inside Out 2 thing. Here we have Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb are going to be coming back to the televisions this summer. And Phineas, of course, is going to be wondering, Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. There's 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes around just ended. And the annual problem for our generation is finding a good way to spend it. Like maybe. So we do have Phineas and Ferb have returned. They have been at the festival multiple times in the past. However, they did disappear a few years ago, shortly after the Phineas and Ferb experience disappeared. Bum, bum, bum. Remember that with Agent P? Doobie doobie doo up. And you would go through and have it so we had these guys kind of around in the festival, kind of in the same area at one point, and then they kind of have just been hip-hopping around. But they've been missing for the last few years. But when they did announce that Phineas and Ferb was going to be coming back on television this year, we got Phineas and Ferb back here at the festival as well. I am extremely excited to see them. My niece, when she was here, She was here before the festival started. However, they were starting to put the topiaries up, and she was like really excited to see this because her and I do sing the Phineas and Ferb song quite often to each other. Like maybe. Oh, yeah, this is going to be the pathway going from the front of the park to the back of the park. Here we do have Chip right here, Dale right here, Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, and Pluto. Ironically enough, we usually have a few more topiaries of Mickey and Minnie. This year, they just kind of said, hey, we just need, well, kind of 2 for Mickey and only 1 for Minnie, which I'm kind of sad about. But overall, the 5 of them are just kind of hanging out here having a picnic. I think it's a great topiary setup. It's taken at a weird angle because over here there's going to be a photo pass section set up, and again, a very long line for people who want a picture with all the different topiaries here. Okay, going into World Showcase, we're going to be going around this way, I believe. By the way, here's another one of those butterfly topiaries over here. There's another one that's over on this side too. Here we do have the characters from Encanto all hanging out. I absolutely love all 4 of these. I think they're all 4 are extremely well done. But these ones debuted originally at the entrance of the park back when Encanto first came out, like the following spring after Encanto came out. We had them at the front of the park, and then they have just been standing their ground since. So the family madrigal people. Continuing around World Showcase, starting off over at Mexico, we do have the Coco topiaries here. This year, I don't know why, I forgot that these guys were here this year, but when I was walking up to the first time, I was like, oh, this is going to be the 3 Caballeros. And I was like, oh, that's right, they're gone. When the 3 Caballeros were here, Donald did have a very weird distinction of being one of the few topiary characters that had multiple locations around the park, with this being one when he was here, and then the other one being back where we saw him at Connections with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. But here we do have Coco. This has been around for the last 2 years now, and we've got Miguel along with Dante there. Now, one of the cool things is Dante is the very first ever topiary that features digital mapping, meaning at night, if you walk past this topiary, there is a digital mapping helping his colors get enhanced at night. So if you go back here or past here at night, it is like a different experience than if you go during the day. So if you're here during the festival, make sure you stop by at night to see the entire full thing. Okay, going from Mexico over to the Norway Pavilion. This is going to be one of the original topiary structures. It has gotten a lot of upgrades throughout the years, but this is going to be the troll. Like we talked about in our little back history of the entire festival, we talked about how around World Showcase, there were different things that were featured with their different countries. So one of them was the troll here in Norway. We're going to get to another one as soon as we get over to China as well. But we do have the troll. The troll used to just be a completely blank slate, and you could just kind of tell that it was a troll, but you didn't really know it was a troll. And as time has gone on, he has gotten a lot more details. Eventually, you would get these beautiful eyes. Kind of makes you want to fall in love with them. The teeth there, just because I said beautiful eyes. You got the hair. You got his lantern there. Overall, really, really cool. He was the only topiary for quite some time. He has been swapping locations with another set of topiaries, which is going to be Anna and Elsa as well. The two of them, sometimes Anna and Elsa are here, or sometimes where the troll is, and then the troll is sometimes over where he's at now, and sometimes he's over here. But here we do have Anna and Elsa from Frozen. In 2014, after Frozen came out in 2013, we did get Anna and Elsa added to the front of the park, and they made their way toward the Encanto ones are this year, and then they made their way actually over to Disney's Hollywood Studios for like a whole year. It wasn't like they were coming and going throughout the year. They were literally just hanging out in front of Hollywood Studios for a year. If you remember in 2014, that section or that park just became like Frozen Land. Like it no longer felt like Disney's Hollywood Studios. We had an ice skating rink, which I went to actually a few times. We had the Frozen show. We also had a Frozen meet and greet. We had Wandering Oaken's gift shop. We had a lot of things that were Frozen. So to honor that, they would eventually have it so they would put Anna and Elsa at the very front of the park. So overall, really, really cool. Oh wait, now going over to the China Pavilion, we do have another section that features the topiaries from the start of the festival. So these topiaries are 30 years old. These ones have been in multiple locations around China, mainly between here and in front of Nine Dragons in the little grass area that faces towards World Showcase Lagoon. But overall, we've always had these pandas in some way, shape, or form, and this was probably one of the first times ever that what they would do is they would have it so the topiaries would feature multiple different colors to help enhance the idea of what it was. So in this case, they're pandas because they are not just white, they're not just, I would say, green, dark green, but they are a combination of the white and the dark green, giving you the illusion that they are pandas. Moving on over to the Germany Pavilion, I'm going to get a quick drink here. We do have these 7 dwarfs, or if you look through here, 6 dwarfs. We've got Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and I know you're probably wondering, but what about Dopey? We're going to get to Dopey in just a second here. So prior to the dwarfs being here, we originally had it so it was just Snow White, and then Snow White was joined by Dopey, and then for a while there it was just Dopey, and then Snow White and Dopey both came back, and then a few years ago they decided to add in the other 6 characters as well. While we're on this subject, if you have not checked out my review yet of the brand new Snow White film, I did have the chance to go see it last night. Really enjoyed it. That's my review here. If you want to go watch the whole thing, I did post it on YouTube earlier today. This picture, I had 2 pictures that I could have shared, but the other one didn't have the bird in it. I like the bird. So this is the one that you got. So it doesn't have as good of a picture of Dopey, but look at that bird. It's okay. Anyways, this bird was flying over people. This is not important to the story whatsoever, but it is important for me to tell you guys this. So this bird kept on flying over, and this one kid kept on yelling at the bird saying, "Don't poop on me." And then the mom started getting mad at the bird because she thought that the bird was going to consider pooping on her daughter. And I was like, well, it's a bird. Calm down, people. But yeah, so we have Snow White along with Dopey here. If you line up over here, just another cool picture, you can get a really cool picture of Snow White looking down at Spaceship Earth, which is across the lagoon here as well. But overall, some of my favorite topiaries, I like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs enough that, I think the characters are great. Okay, over here we do have these 3 gnomes, as they refer to them here. They are gnomes, but if you look closely, in my opinion, they more look like characters from Fraggle Rock, don't they? Dance your cares away, save them for another day, let the music play, down in Fraggle Rock. Okay, this is the time of year where I go to my usual rant, and if you've been here before when we talked about the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival throughout the years, then you know what the rant's going to be, and I apologize because you've heard it probably at least. This is our 16th year in a row on the Wednesday show where we've talked about this festival. Look at the few things that are wrong with this thing. Okay, so first off, we're in the Italy Pavilion here. If you look behind Lady's head here, this area right here is Via Napoli. Over here is Tutto Italia. And these 2 dogs are in a movie that takes place in Marceline, Missouri. Not even close to Italy. Why don't we have a Pinocchio or a Jiminy Cricket topiary yet? Those characters are based in Italy. These 2 characters are based in Marceline, Missouri. And it drives me crazy that they're in the Italy Pavilion every single year. In addition to that, Lady's ears have always driven me crazy. I do think that they are much better this year than they have been in the past, but they still kind of drive me crazy. So, yeah, I like the topiary. I do. I just don't like where it's located. I think we need to get some representation for Italy in here and not Lady and the Tramp, who only have an Italian connection by going to an Italian restaurant in the film. That's the only thing that they have. Yes, I like that too. Or a Luca topiary. That would be completely fine. But Lady and the Tramp, why? It just drives me crazy. I did get pooped on by a bird at Disney before. I thought someone spit on me from the Skyway, and I was surprised. I washed my hair in a Fastlane bathroom. I think most people have probably been pooped on at one point or another from a bird or another creature. While at Disney. All right, moving up to the American Adventure. In the American Adventure, we do have one topiary that I really, really like. First off, I do love Princess of the Frog. I think Princess of the Frog is probably in my top 5 of Disney animated films. I just think the characters are great. I think the music's great. I think the storyline's great. And I think Princess Tiana's great. And I think this topiary of her over at the American Adventure Pavilion, they added this about 2 to 3 years ago. And I think it's just gorgeous. I think it's a great topiary. The details on her are unbelievable. I mean, right down, if you look right here, it's kind of tough to see, but she's got a dimple, just like in the movie. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, moving on to the Japan Pavilion, we've got another really cool addition. Well, not addition, but a cool move, in my opinion. So this is a word that people always make fun of me for, and I'm going to say it, and then you guys can judge me afterwards, but it's just my Wisconsin accent coming through. This is a dragon. Dragon? Is that how you guys say it? Dragon. 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 How do people say that word? Dragon. It's a dragon. That's just my Wisconsin accent. And every year I say it, and every year I get ridiculed in the chat room. That's not how you say that word. Well, that's how I say that word. So technically you're wrong, because you can say that's not how people say that word, or most people. And I'd say, yeah, you're probably right. But you can't say that's not how you say that word, because technically you're wrong, because that is how I say that word. Anyways, this is a dragon. This dragon was originally found over by the temple, or the little archway that is found over in World Showcase Lagoon. They did move it over here this year, and I love where it is this year because it always looked big at World Showcase Lagoon, but it looks so much bigger when you're right next to it. And I think it's just so much more present. I mean, look at it next to this person right here. I apologize to this person for getting them into the ones they showed today without their, but look at it. I mean, compared to a person, it's massive. And it always looked big, but it is so much bigger than I ever anticipated it was until I was standing right next to it. I think just the details on it are incredible too. All right, moving on to the Morocco Pavilion. Morocco Pavilion doesn't really have any topiaries. At one point, they did have an Aladdin on top of a magic carpet topiary, but that fell by the wayside when the Spice Road table opened up. And so they brought in Kermit along with Miss Piggy from the Muppets. Now, these two did not have a topiary until the year 2012, right after the movie The Muppets debuted in theaters in 2011. And then they disappeared for a year. Then they came back the following year when Muppets Most Wanted happened. And then they actually had a whole interactive game with these two. I mean, not the topiaries weren't moving around or anything, but they had it so there was a Muppets Most Wanted game that you could go through World Showcase and play, which I always just thought was really cool. So Kermit and Miss Piggy have been kind of hanging out between the France Pavilion and the Morocco Pavilion for quite some time now. At one point, they were in Germany. At one point, they were in Italy. At one point, they're at the American Adventure Pavilion. But they have been here now for quite a few years. I think this is going to be their permanent home, and I hope they keep on coming back because I love the look of both of them. Over in the France Pavilion, we do have the Beast along with Belle from the film Beauty and the Beast. These two were not always around. Actually, they were not around for quite some time, mainly until the live action Beauty and the Beast film came out. That's when they were like, hey, you know what? We should make some more topiaries featuring Beauty and the Beast. And we got Belle, Beast, along with Mrs. Potts and Chip, who used to hang out behind them here. And Mrs. Potts and Chip have fallen by the wayside as the years have gone on. But we still have Cogsworth and Lumiere here. And the little does move back and forth here on Cogsworth. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, side note, I watched a video today, popped up on my suggested videos over on Instagram, and it had this guy who was like, "How well do you know Disney trivia?" And the girl's like, "I know it so well," and that was not her voice, but that just to protect her identity. And he was like, "What is the Disney movie that has a character named Cogsworth?" And she's like, "Cogsworth? I don't know that character." I was like, "Are you kidding me? You are not worthy of this competition." Uh, Leaving France and heading over towards the International Gateway, there is not any topiaries over here, with the exception, of course, of a butterfly. But over here, we do have this really beautiful flower arrangement in the form of Mickey. This is going to be the bridge heading towards UK on this side and towards France on this side. I just want to go down there today and get a picture of the picture. Over in the UK pavilion, because there are so many different characters that can be found in UK stories that Disney has based their films off of, we do have multiple characters, starting here with Tinkerbell, obviously from the 1953 Disney film Peter Pan. Our next one, however, is not going to be based on a UK story, so just hold on tight. Now, in the back part of the pavilion, we do have old school topiaries, along with a few different plaques telling us about the history of topiaries, kind of like the history that we went through at the start of this episode, but not as flashy, not as dazzling, not as cool as the one that I gave you. They don't go into as much detail, so sorry, Disney, you lose this round. But here we do have some older topiaries that were legitimately found in the Disney resort when the parks first opened up. Over here, we do have the Dumbo, or just an elephant. This would actually be found over by Dumbo. And then over here, we also have Mickey Mouse. This would be found over at the Contemporary at one point. It would also be found during the first year of the festival. Again, very basic. No real features. You can tell that it's Mickey Mouse because of the ears and the design, but besides that, there's nothing really screaming Mickey Mouse at us. Over at the front of the UK pavilion, we have a few more characters. Obviously, we've got Winnie the Pooh here, along with Rabbit. Rabbit's eyes look a little misplaced here, don't they? Wait a minute. Nope, go back. Don't they look a little uneven? Like this one's looking up and this one's looking down a little bit. It's a little, it's not, I don't think it's supposed to be that way. I didn't notice that in person until just now. Over here we have T-I-double-G-R, that spells Tigger. We also have Piglet and Eeyore, so we got 5 different characters from the Winnie the Pooh franchise found here. This also used to be found where we had Tick-Tock Croc and Captain Hook. And then up on the rooftop here, we used to have Peter Pan. However, all those characters have moved between the Canada Pavilion and the UK Pavilion. So here we have Tick-Tock Croc from Peter Pan. We also have Captain Hook and Peter Pan from, you guessed it, Alice in Wonderland. No, Peter Pan, of course. So I think these topiaries are amazing. I really liked it when Peter Pan was found on the roof of the building, the sportsman shop building, because I just thought it was kind of cool. You know, he can fly, so it just makes sense that he'd be up on the roof. Over in the UK Pavilion, this is actually an addition this year, the Canadian flag, which I absolutely love. I think that's just a beautiful, 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 beautiful addition that they made this year. And then a few years ago, they did add in these Canadian geese as well, which, again, I think are just great. Anytime that they have new topiaries that are not focused on the Disney characters, I'm surprisingly happy by it, because I just think it's really cool that it's not just focusing on Disney, but it's also focusing on things that would actually be found in these countries. Our next picture, oh no, I know what I was going to say. Our next picture is, no, but it's not. Our next picture is Bambi, Thumper, and Flower from the film Bambi. These ones have kind of been scattered around the festival throughout the years. At one point, they were found over at the Butterfly Garden because, if you remember, Bambi does have the interaction with the butterfly at the start of the film. And then eventually they would make their way over towards the Canada Pavilion. Now, one of my favorite things about this is when I first moved down here in the year 2010, a long time ago, back in 2010 during the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, that would have been the 15-year anniversary, they would have it so there was some really cool topiaries that were found, or not topiaries, they had like lawn ornaments that were sold at the festival, and I had no money to my name. and I bought all of them. So still scattered around my condo. I scattered them around as soon as I moved in here, and I was like, no, I want them to kind of not just be in one spot because I like having it so they're in different spots. But there is a little lawn ornament of Bambi. There's another one of Thumper. There's another one of Flower, and then there's actually another one of Friend Owl. So that's pretty cool. But speaking of friends, one of my favorite friends in the entire world is ice cream, and that's the ice cream. this is going to be the peanut butter and jelly swirled cone over at World Swirled Place. This is going to be the location that used to be a Starbucks entering into World Showcase on the right hand side, heading towards Canada. This is my favorite food item that they introduced last year, and I got it a few times last year at the very end of the festival because I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I want to spend $6.50 for an ice cream cone if I don't like the flavors. And I tried it towards the end of the festival last year. I really liked it, so I got it like 5 more times at the end of the festival. And then today I got it for my first time during the festival, and it still holds up. It is really, 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 really good. So if you are over there and if you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I highly recommend the peanut butter and jelly cone. You can also just get jelly if you want. You can just also get peanut butter if you want. But having the two of them together is just so good. It's really, really good. I was more worried about the jelly flavor, but that was really good. Okay, our final topiary that we're going to be taking a look at tonight, well, and it's also the final one in the entire festival, is going to be the Goofy topiary. We have gone through and had most of the main iconic characters. We had Donald, we had Huey, Dewey, Louie, Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Chip, Dale, Goofy. There's only one character in our main lineup that does not have a topiary, and that's Daisy. And she used to. So I'm really sad for Daisy this year that Daisy does not have a topiary, unless I just have somehow missed her the last 3 or 4 times that I've gone to the festival. Because I'll be honest, I've not been actively looking, but at the same time, she's usually hanging out over by Donald, and I've not seen her over there. So unless she's like hiding behind another bush, which would be really funny, I hope that's the case. Then she's not here. But this Goofy has been kind of scattered around the festival throughout the years. At one point, he was playing soccer. He's been playing different sports. He was running at one point. Now he's pulling dandelions. He's been pulling those for the last few years. So, yeah, those are going to be all of our walkthrough of the topiaries during this year's festival. Yay! Does anyone out there have any questions at all about this year's Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2025, the 30th anniversary? I'm going to get another drink here. So there are food booths that are scattered around, with one of them being the spot where you can get the peanut butter jelly ice cream. I am not a food person. I have people asking me all the time about which food items would I recommend, and I always say, I don't know. I like pizza. Do they have pizza? Do they have chicken? No? Then I don't know. There is one place where it does smell really good. Every time I walk by it, and there was one thing that sounded really good, and now I'm drawing a blank on where it was. So let's see if we can find that real quick. It was not the citrus. No, not the citrus blossom. Trella and Trellis. Oh yeah. The soy glazed pork sticky ribs. That actually sounds pretty good. Are they all sort of one place in off season? Yes. So, you know what? Let's do this. Even though we won't be able to pinpoint an exact spot. Oh, you know what? Here, I got an even better idea. Let's go to if this works. We will see if this works or not. Nope, that's not working right now. Okay, we're going to do it a different way. We're going to go to Animal Kingdom. And we want to go to Maps of Animal Kingdom. Here we go. Yes. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Okay, we are going to go through and we're going to share that screen, hopefully. Yes. Okay. Let's get me out of here. So we're going to show you exactly where this is at. Okay. So over here, we've got Western Way. Here, can we do... Let's do... Yeah, that's how we want it. Right there. Okay. So over here, we have Western Way. We can get rid of this part right here. So we have Western Way right here. Over here, we've got... this is Coronado Springs. This is Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is massive. And then over here, we have the Treat Farm. And this is going to be where all the different plants found throughout Walt Disney World are going to be kept. So it's this entire area. There's multiple layers to it. These are all little greenhouses that are right here. And when I say little, they're very massive. We're just really high in the air right now. We're out in space right now looking down at this stuff. But all of them are going to be found right here. So essentially what they'll do is they will keep them there. They'll do their best to preserve the topiaries throughout the entire year. However, as the year goes on, there is a chance that maybe those topiaries will need to be replaced in some way, shape, or form, and they can do that in the whole facility. But all of the plant life that is found in Walt Disney World is all found in this area right here. If you've ever done the Walt Disney World Marathon, then this is the road that we go down. And then when you're on this road right here, you also go back that way while you're on the thing. Actually, I never thought about this before, but this might be the way that when we do our Run Disney episodes to go through and show exactly where things are. Because this is actually pretty cool. Because look at this. I mean, this is just cool because then you can go through and we look at the safari. At one point, we found Herbie in a parking lot. I don't know. That was a long time ago, so I don't know if we'd still be able to find that. But at one point, years ago, we found Herbie in the Contemporary parking lot. And let's just zoom in here. Because I used to park it. I used to know one of the security guards at Contemporary, and then they switched spots. And when they switched spots, I can no longer park over there. I had to park in the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Yeah, I don't see it. But anyways, yeah, that's completely irrelevant. But yeah, they do store all of them in the same place during the off season. That's a good question. Oh yeah, any other questions before we wrap this bad boy up? We're already going into some extra innings for you guys here without even meaning to. Let's check out our number. We are still at 3,416, so we didn't go up, but we didn't go down. That's a win too. Okay, I think we are going to be wrapping up tonight's episode right here. So thank you everyone out there for joining us once again this week. As always, tonight's episode... Oh, did anyone ever see a topiary on the road? I did. Here, wait, let's find that video real quick here too. I don't know how quickly this is. It might take me a second or two to find the video. I post a lot of videos. If you've not noticed yet, please subscribe if you have not done so already. Topiary. Peter Pan. Maybe is that the one? Is that the way to find it? Where is it at? Let's do topiaries. It was last year. Driving? No. I don't know. So yeah, anyways, there's a video out there someplace. But anyways, as always, thank you everyone out there for joining us once again tonight. As always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our wonderful, our super duper, our Patreon pals. If you're one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. All right, thank you everyone out there for joining us once again tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our talk about the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2025. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I can't